Welcome to the channel, guys. My name is Jess. So it has been a pretty volatile last couple of days for Bitcoin. We had a very bullish last 2 weeks, and then we started off this one with a little bit of a pullback from 68k. So in today's video, we're going to dive into the charts, focusing on first the macro structures, and then diving into the short time frame analysis to talk about the bullish and bearish scenarios and triggers that we have there. Before we do though, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel down below to get regular Bitcoin analysis every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, and ring that notification button so you never miss an episode. If you're after even more content, be sure to check out my free Telegram channel for daily updates as well as crypto and economic news. And if you're interested in my VIP channel, you can get more details over here. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trades with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. Alrighty guys, so diving right into the charts here, we're on the 2-day time frame. We can see that overall, guys, July has been a very bullish month for Bitcoin, right? We bounced on the base of our macro structure here at the start of the month, and we've been pretty much going up ever since. Obviously though, right now we are seeing a little bit of a correction from that 68k level, and we do really want to know whether or not we are going to, bounce here and finally see that retest of the upper trend line in the macro structure and get that breakout, or whether or not this is the start of a much larger correction. So before we dive into the analysis, I do really quickly want to go ahead and talk about what's happened in the last couple of days, just so we can wrap our head around the context of the current price action before we move into the analysis. So since my last video, I think it was just about Wednesday last week. It's the longest period I've ever done without a video, but I think it was Wednesday last week. And what we had just done was broken above this key level of resistance here at $63,000, and we had gone back to retest it as a base of support. So in that last video, I think all the analysis that we said really played out exactly as we expected. So we had a double bearish divergence here on the RSI, causing us to, top out at this little retest of 67,000 here. And after moving down to retest this level of support here at 63k, and we had a positive momentum shift here on the RSI, causing the price to move back upwards, push up from that level of support, and it's currently led to this level that we're sitting at right now. So this next key level on the short time frame is our most significant level of resistance right now, and that is between $67,000 and $68,000. In terms of the macro structure, guys, not all that much has changed from that little correction here at $68,000. We're still very much within this bull flag pattern over here. We're still very much above the bull market uptrend since that recovery in early July. So in terms of macro positioning, Bitcoin is still looking pretty good in terms of a bullish continuation. But I did want to pull up this macro chart to talk about this key level that we have here at $63,000. So as I just talked about, it is our current key level of support. We've just reclaimed it as a base of support just last week on Wednesday. And it's a level of support just like any other, but it is important for a couple other reasons. So $63,000 also marks the midline for our massive channel of consolidation over here, right? And the midline is important because above the midline, we have a much higher probability of getting a test for our range high in comparison to the range low. We're above halfway. And below the midline, obviously, we have a higher probability of continuing lower and retracing to the range low. Another key indicator to look for here is the market cipher A, specifically the 50-day moving average on that market cipher A, so that red line over here. And again, moving above $63,000, we moved above the market cipher A, and generally above that moving average, we have a much higher probability of retracing the range high resistance in comparison to when we're below the midline and below the 50-day moving average, to retesting at that range low over here. So 63k is a very significant level right now. It corresponds to a lot of key indicators and key signs of strength. And as of right now, while that $68,000 rejection isn't all that significant, if we see a much larger correction, it does put us at risk of potentially losing that bullish trajectory that we're having right now and seeing that further move down to retrace that range low if we fall below 63k. So Bitcoin's on a little bit of an edge of a cliff. They were approaching that cliff, and we're just, we want to know whether or not we're going to get that bounce. So really quickly, before I dive into the short time frame, what we're looking for in terms of the bullish continuation here, because we are approaching that fifth retest, right? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. This should be the fifth retest that we are looking to break out of. And in that break, we want to well, we're looking for Bitcoin to break out of this upper trend line over here on the bull flag pattern and break above the bullish trigger here, or that prior range high at $72,000, right? That's where the wick extends to. And in that bullish move, the full measured move, assuming we break before the end of the month, is somewhere around $84.5 to $85,000. Obviously, the longer it takes to break, if the measured move stays the same, it just applies to a lower point in the trend line. So that could mean that we break and have a measured move to 84 instead, or 83.5 instead. So it does depend on the point of the break, but in general, that is the structural narrative that Bitcoin is currently having, right? We're on that fifth retest. That is how that bull flag pattern should be playing out. But before we see any of that, we obviously have to talk about the short time frame charts. Let's go ahead and dive into a 4-hour time frame analysis. Just before we get into our short time frame analysis, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor, Bitunix. Bitunix is an emerging cryptocurrency exchange committed to providing you with a secure, convenient, and highly functional trading and investment platform. Available across all countries as a non-KYC exchange, get global access to over 150 trading pairs with minimal fees on both spot and futures contracts. Join today to get $5,500 in sign-up rewards and get 15% off all of your trading fees by signing up using the link in my bio or by using the code 1GG3 when you create your account. Alright guys, so diving right into the 4-hour time frame, overall on the short time frame charts, things are looking alright. As of right now, we are seeing a fair bit of strength, but we are sort of getting to that kind of crunch period where Bitcoin needs to make some sort of decision and bounce sometime soon. So let's go ahead and talk about what I mean. So we've seen this rejection here from $68,000, right? We've gone back down, and as of right now, we are still above our short time frame uptrend, right? This one that we've been in since the start of the week. We can see that the buyers are stepping in to absorb a lot of this increased selling pressure that's been represented by these lower highs here on the RSI, right? We've got this hidden bullish divergence here, these two higher peaks, two higher lows, sorry, and we've got these two lower lows here on the RSI. So that is a good sign, and it is a sign of strength, and it does tell us that, you know, as we approach this level, this uptrend, we should be sustaining it. We should be bouncing from the uptrend. However, what we can also see is the bearish divergence that we have here on the charts, right? We've got two lower highs here on the RSI and two higher highs here on the price action. So that's telling us that we have seen bullish exhaustion at this point here. At this second high, we have much lower momentum, much lower buying pressure at the second point. And actually we're rejected. But until we manage to see enough of a positive shift in momentum to negate this, or I guess it's not so much negate, but kind of signal the end of that bearish divergence pattern, we will continue to see that decrease in momentum, and at some point the buyers are not going to be able to absorb all of that bearish momentum. So the longer it lasts, the weaker the price action looks. So while on the 4-hour time frame we're seeing that bearish absorption, that bullish absorption, right, the buyers stepping in to like, you know, suppress the selling pressure that we've had here. If we zoom in a little bit closer onto the 1-hour time frame, let me just get rid of the drawings, zoom in a little bit onto the 1-hour time frame, we can see that on the 1-hour time frame they have been unsuccessful, right, in that absorption there. So we can see this bearish divergence we've printed here, these peaks over here, they're much lower than the other, the exact same peaks that we saw on the 4-hour time frame, and then over here, we've lost that short time frame uptrend that we had over here, right? So we've fallen below that uptrend. We've printed these lower lows here on the charts, as well as the lower lows here on the RSI. So the longer this draws out and the lower we see this momentum dropping, the higher the likelihood that that's going to end up reflecting, obviously, on the 4-hour time frames. Everything that happens on the short time frame is that if it happens for long enough, we'll see it on the high time frame charts. So that's pretty much where we're at right now, where yes, on the 4-hour time frame, things look all right, but if we zoom in, we aren't actually seeing enough of a shift yet to suggest that Bitcoin should be bouncing anytime soon. So we do have a little bit of legway. We have, you know, this movement here all the way to the down, to the uptrend that we've got on the price action. So until we test that, you know, uptrend, things are still looking fine. We're above the uptrend. But what we're really looking for to show us that we should be getting that bounce soon is a really strong positive shift in momentum. So what I would like to see is at the very least a retest of our RSI downtrend here on the 4-hour time frame to show us that we're getting enough of a shift in momentum to kind of even push and test that that downtrending resistance on the RSI, right? So that would suggest to us that we're going in for another retest of this 87K resistance, and breaking above this RSI downtrend, that tells us that we have a very high likelihood then to actually get that bullish continuation that we're looking for in the short time frame. So that tells us that potentially we're going to move above this level of resistance once again at 67,400 and break above the bullish trigger or the prior range high here at 68,400 and finally get that bullish continuation to the range high in the macro structure here at 70,000, right? Which is really what we're targeting here, that test of the upper macro trend line. As of right now though, so it's not looking terrible, but we're really not seeing that just yet. So those are really the key bullish validations that we have here on the short time frame chart. So we have our structural validation. So while we're above the uptrend, we should be going upwards. We have our horizontal validation over here at 68,400, this prior little high here. You can see it on the liquidity swings indicator. And so above the uptrend, if we get a close above 68.4, we should be getting that bullish continuation upwards. And we have our momentum validation. So if this will tell us beforehand, hopefully beforehand, that if we see enough of a bullish shift in buying pressure, we should be getting all this price action that's been depicted here. Now let's flip to the other side. Let's talk about the potential bearish case scenario. So what happens if we lose our short time frame uptrend? We lost that structural support that we've got there. So all is not lost if we lose the uptrend, right? As I said in that macro analysis, the key thing that we're really looking for is this horizontal level here at $63.4 thousand. Losing the uptrend would suck because, obviously it might mean that we consolidate for a little bit longer rather than getting that break and that move upwards right now, or, in that next short time frame period. But above 63,000 to 64,000, we're above the midline. We're above the 50-day moving average. All those key kind of levels that we need on the macro charts, we're still above. So it just means that the price needs to potentially consolidate a little bit longer. So as long as we hold that level of support, the bullish case scenario in terms of macro wise is still very much intact. For this next, small period of time, we're not going to see a much larger correction to a range low above this level, right? But falling below $63,000, that is really when that bearish case scenario begins. So falling below 63K, the first level that's going to trigger that bearish continuation here is the sell side liquidity we have here at $62.3 thousand, that green line that I've just drawn in. So we can see here as the price moved to retrace or retest 63K as first resistance, moved back above, rejected from 65,000, retested 63 as a base of support, swung to this liquidity level down here, the sell side liquidity, and then we had our bullish continuation, right? So that is that key level that we're looking for right now in terms of a bearish continuation. So even if we go to 63,000 and we lose the uptrend, what we might see is a wick just to that level, but as long as we close above this level over here, it should be all right. It would be the close below this level here that signifies the genuine loss of support, of horizontal support here at 63K. So in that move, in that bearish case scenario, if we go below 62.3K, we should move to that next little peak there in the volume profile, that next key level of support down at 60,000. You guys all know about 60,000. It's a huge level of support, psychological support. It's a prior pi cycle high, and was previously a massive level when we were traveling horizontally above in this little, channel that we had before the massive breakdown to 53K. So that is the bearish case scenario. As of right now, it's not looking all that likely because, as I said, we are seeing that absorption there on the 4-hour time frame. But again, it is that crunch period. So we do need to see that positive shift in momentum at some point quite soon. Alrighty guys, that is all the analysis that I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video or you learned something, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel down below. And if you're after even more content, be sure to check out my free Telegram channel for daily updates as well as crypto and economic news. If you're interested in my VIP channel, you can get more details over here. VIP gives you exclusive access to my personal trade setups with exact entry points, targets, and stop losses. And if you are a trader, don't forget to sign up down below to Bitunix to get 15% off all of your trading fees and $5,500 US in sign-up rewards. Hope you guys have a really great week and I'll see you next time. Bye.